Impostor Syndrome. You just landed your dream job. Everyone's celebrating. But inside, you're terrified someone will discover you're a fraud. Here's what most people don't know. 82% of people feel this exact same way. This is imposter syndrome, and it doesn't care how successful you are. The more you achieve, the louder it gets. You tell yourself it was luck, timing, or that you fooled everyone. Research shows high achievers and top performers experience this the most. But there's a darker layer, the Jonah Complex, the fear of your own greatness. You actively sabotage opportunities before they materialize. You procrastinate, you turn down promotions. Why? Because success feels overwhelming, undeserved, dangerous. Here's the paradox. If you feel like an imposter, you're probably competent enough to recognize how much you don't know. The cure isn't eliminating doubt. It's learning that self-doubt and success can coexist. But what happens when that self-doubt runs so deep it becomes your identity? That's where things get darker. Inferiority Complex. Most people think an inferiority complex is just low self-esteem. They're wrong. This goes deeper. And it's been destroying lives since psychologist Alfred Adler identified it over 100 years ago. It's a persistent, overwhelming belief that you're fundamentally inadequate compared to everyone else. And this belief doesn't just make you sad. It paralyzes you. The roots trace back to childhood. Constant criticism. Never feeling good enough. Research from 2019 shows children of mothers with depression are especially vulnerable to developing this deep-seated inadequacy. Here's where it splits. Some people withdraw entirely, avoiding all social situations. Others overcompensate aggressively, becoming perfectionistic workaholics or developing a superiority complex as armor. The Napoleon complex is the classic example. Treatment requires cognitive behavioral therapy to rebuild self-worth from within, not through constant comparison with others. But sometimes that feeling of inadequacy metastasizes into something even more insidious, a guilt so profound you believe you're responsible for everyone's pain. Superiority Complex. You walk into a room and immediately assess who's beneath you. Most of them, obviously. You don't just disagree with people, you're baffled they can't see how right you are. Here's what psychologist Alfred Adler discovered. Superiority complexes often mask deep inferiority. When you can't tolerate feeling less than, you construct an elaborate persona of being better than everyone else. It's psychological armor hiding vulnerable wounds. The diagnostic signs: exaggerated self-importance, demanding constant validation, dismissing others' opinions, needing to win every conversation. But unlike truly confident people, you're fragile. One challenge triggers defensive rage. The difference from narcissistic personality disorder? You genuinely don't care what others think. Your superiority is obvious. Narcissists desperately need admiration and manipulate to get it. The causes reveal the wound, childhood over praise without realistic feedback, or emotional neglect requiring grandiosity as protection. Recovery begins with brutal honesty. Why do you need to feel superior? What insecurity are you covering? True confidence doesn't require diminishing others, but believing you're superior to most people is one thing. Believing you're superior to all people, that's when superiority becomes terrifying. Guilt complex. It's 3 a.m. You're replaying a conversation from 3 years ago, cringing at a single word you said. You've apologized 17 times for something that wasn't your fault. Someone else's bad day? Somehow, you caused it. This isn't conscience. This is identity. Unlike healthy guilt, this guilt rewires your brain. Studies show prolonged guilt disrupts serotonin and dopamine, making it physically harder to feel pleasure or motivation. You ruminate endlessly about past mistakes. You apologize constantly. You feel anxious even when people praise you because praise feels like a lie you haven't been caught in yet. The causes cut deep. Childhood trauma, religious upbringing emphasizing sin, perfectionism, or surviving when others didn't. People with OCD experience thought-action fusion, believing thinking something bad makes them morally responsible for it. Breaking free requires distinguishing what you can control versus what you cannot. But some people don't just carry guilt. They wear suffering like a badge. They perform it, broadcast it, and that's when things turn manipulative. Victim complex. Why does everything bad always happen to me? You say it so often it's become your signature line. Bad date? The universe hates you. didn't get promoted, they're all against you. This isn't about real trauma. This is about identity. Studies identify this as tendency for interpersonal victimhood, a personality trait with 4 patterns: feeling morally innocent, demanding recognition of suffering, lacking empathy for others, and ruminating on past injustices. Your brain gets addicted to this loop because it provides moral superiority. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Victimhood offers perks: sympathy, attention. You avoid accountability. You escape the responsibility of change. I'm the victim, so I can't be the problem. The cost? Relationships deteriorate. Personal growth stagnates. Depression sets in. The antidote is brutal, taking radical responsibility, not for what happened to you, but for how you respond moving forward. But here's the plot twist. Some people don't stay stuck in victimhood. They flip the script entirely. They become obsessed with rescuing everyone else. Savior complex. You see someone struggling and your body moves before your brain catches up. You're already solving their problem. Offering advice they didn't ask for. Taking on burdens they didn't hand you. This feels noble, selfless. It's not. The pattern is unmistakable. You're attracted to broken people. Relationships feel like rescue missions. You overextend yourself emotionally. And the diagnostic tell, you can't accept help from others. Psychologists trace this to childhood. You were parentified. You learned your worth equals your usefulness. The Cartman drama triangle shows what's happening. You play rescuer to others' victim, but this enables dependency, not growth. Your partner never learns to solve their own problems. Resentment builds. The relationship becomes parent-child, not equal partners. Research reveals the wound. Saviors often have low self-esteem masked by helpful deeds. Recovery means recognizing not everyone needs saving. Your worth isn't measured by how indispensable you make yourself. But what happens when saving others isn't enough, when you need them to witness your suffering? That's when the savior becomes something darker. Martyr Complex. You take on more than you can handle. Then you make sure everyone knows about it. After all I've done for you becomes your favorite phrase. Someone offers help, you refuse, because accepting help ruins the performance. This is the Martyr Complex, self-sacrifice weaponized. Unlike the savior who rescues for validation, martyrs suffer visibly and vocally, using their pain as currency for control. You reject solutions because being the sufferer gives you power. Others feel guilty, indebted, unable to criticize you. This emerges from environments where suffering was the only way to get attention or love. Religious contexts emphasizing sacrifice reinforce it. Codependent relationships thrive on it. The cost is steep: chronic stress, burnout, resentment. Relationships feel transactional rather than loving. People eventually distance themselves from the manipulation. Breaking the pattern requires a painful truth. Healthy relationships don't require suffering to prove love. Setting boundaries isn't selfish. But martyrs suffer to gain power over others. What about people who don't just want power, they believe they're inherently superior? God complex. You are infallible. You are beyond reproach. Rules are for ordinary people, not you. The world is a chessboard and everyone else, they're just pawns waiting for your next move. This is the God complex, an unshakable belief in your own omniscience and superiority over everyone. Psychologist Ernest Jones first termed this pattern of grandiosity, often linked to narcissistic personality disorder. The characteristics are unmistakable. Your judgment is beyond question, rules don't apply to you, criticism is personally offensive. You show no empathy, and you expect others to be dependent on you. Only I can fix this becomes your mantra. This develops through excessive childhood praise, creating unrealistic self-perception, or, paradoxically, deep insecurity requiring an omnipotent facade. It's particularly dangerous in positions of power, medicine, leadership, law enforcement, where authority reinforces the delusion. The complex damages everyone. Subordinates feel controlled. Relationships become transactional. Decision-making becomes autocratic and disastrous. Treatment requires the hardest admission, accepting human limitation and vulnerability. Persecution at complex, paranoia. Your coworker smiles at you in the hallway. You spend the next 3 hours analyzing what they really meant. Someone cancels plans. They're trying to isolate you. A stranger glances your way. They're watching you. Everyone's out to get you. Every comment has hidden malice. Every setback is proof of conspiracy. This is the persecution complex, the persistent belief you're being deliberately targeted, harmed, or sabotaged by others. despite lack of evidence. This falls on a spectrum. Mild forms involve hypervigilance. Severe manifestations approach paranoid delusions linked to paranoid personality disorder or psychosis. Here's what makes diagnosis tricky. Sometimes the persecution is real, past trauma, systemic discrimination. The brain can't always distinguish between realistic threat assessment and distorted perception. The toll is exhausting, constant vigilance, chronic stress. Relationships suffer because trust is impossible. Everyone is a potential enemy. You become isolated, which reinforces the narrative. See, everyone abandons me. Self-fulfilling prophecy. Treatment distinguishes reality from distortion through cognitive behavioral therapy and trauma therapy. The goal isn't naive trust, it's calibrated caution, but persecution complexes assume malice from strangers. What about when the threat feels closer, rooted in the people you should trust most? Oedipus Complex. You're 32 years old. Your romantic partner just said something your mother wouldn't approve of, and suddenly you're defending mom instead of your partner. You can't make major decisions without parental approval. Your dating history looks suspiciously like a lineup of people who resemble your opposite-sex parent. Sigmund Freud's most controversial theory: proposed children experience unconscious attraction to the opposite-sex parent and rivalry with the same-sex parent. Modern psychology largely rejects Freud's sexual interpretation, but recognizes the truth. Our first relationships with parents profoundly influence adult attachment patterns and mate selection. When these dynamics go unresolved, problems emerge. Adults unconsciously seeking partners who resemble a parent, unresolved competition with same-sex peers, difficulty with authority figures, the mama's boy or daddy's girl, who can't form independent adult relationships. The difference between healthy attachment and a complex, whether adult relationships can form without parental approval dominating, whether you can disagree with parents without existential crisis, whether romantic partners are chosen for themselves or as parent substitutes. Resolution involves differentiation, developing independent identity, recognizing parents as flawed humans, and consciously choosing relationship patterns rather than unconsciously repeating childhood dynamics. Understanding these complexes is the first step toward addressing them. If these patterns significantly impair your daily functioning or relationships, professional psychological help can make a profound difference.